I'm sorry. Can we move on now?
No.
I'm sorry. Can you feel better now?
No.
Why isn't I'm sorry enough? The Naked Truth, episode 114. Hello everyone, I'm Wolf and this is Tara, and we're from Soul Intentions. And we work with men and women that want happier relationships filled with more love, trust, and fun on a daily basis. Today on The Naked Truth, why I'm sorry isn't enough. One of the things that we have noticed is that a lot of our clients are asking why, when I say I'm sorry to my partner, it just isn't enough. So one of the things that we decided to kind of test out is to go a little bit on a hunt as to why that happens. And one of the things that we notice is, a lot of people are passing out M&Ms all the time. And the reason why I use M&Ms because we like passing out M&Ms like nothing. So people are doing the same thing with I'm sorry, and when you're saying you're sorry, it needs to be incredibly authentic, not just a habit, not something that you say to kind of, move people along because it makes you uncomfortable. You have to have 150% I'm sorry and really, really mean it. And I think that your partner would appreciate that in a level that would make sense, that would, again, catapult your relationship into the next level. But when you're sitting there saying I'm sorry just to simply make your person walk away or to just kind of like, oh, I kind of messed up, I need to apologize, whatever, I'll do it and it'll be over. No.
I had somebody I was involved with once, and this became a common theme. I would walk up to him and I would hear, well, I guess I owe you an apology. And at first I was like, okay, he's probably starting with the well, I guess part because it's uncomfortable. It's hard to apologize someone. Sometimes I can understand that. But huge kudos on knowing you did something wrong and knowing that you do owe me an apology. So I got excited about it at first, and I kind of let go of the rest. And I listened, and I believed, and I forgave, and I moved on. But then it happened again and again. And you can imagine I don't even know how many times I heard, I guess I owe you an apology. I couldn't decide if I wanted to punch the person or go off on them about, you don't really mean that, so don't be wasting my time.
Right.
So it really needs to come from an authentic place, not just a gut reflex reaction. I also have a friend that says, I'm sorry, just an everyday sentence. Like that's a common part of her language. And I'm always like, don't say you're sorry unless you really do something wrong, because when it comes down to it, it's like the little boy that cried wolf. It doesn't mean anything anymore. So we want to break down like the essential parts of an apology and how to make it so that it is enough. Because what we're seeing is what Wolf described and kind of what I was using as my example ends up leading to a lack of trust, and it moves your relationships farther and farther apart. And, what do we all want in relationships?
We want to feel connected. We want to feel engaged. We want to, feel like it's safe.
Yeah, like it's safe, like you're respected, like somebody's understanding you, all those things, that's what you want. And if these essentials that we're going to talk about are missing from your apology, that's why it's missing its mark. So pay attention. It's two easy things you can do beforehand and 3 things to make sure to include in your apology to make it authentic and effective.
I mean, when you've taken responsibility, first of all, for whatever you did wrong, that's the number 1 step. And the other part is really sitting with that. Like, don't just go as like, oh my God, I'm sorry. Like really sit with them and say, I gave it some thought, you're absolutely right. I made a terrible mistake. I don't know, insert whatever the problem was, I was late, I didn't call, whatever the situation is, but really be honest about it. Like really sit with the person and say, I get it. I honestly, truly get it. and I am going to work on doing it better.
And you'll notice your partner kind of relax when you get into that, because they're like, wow, you know, they heard me, or they really know me, and they know that this bothered me. So if you at first start with, number one, identifying what the issue is and truly owning it. And if you don't know how to own it, we have another naked truth that you can refer back to. It's called Own It. That'll walk you through those steps. Because all of our work builds on each other. So own it, express it. Like, I'm sorry I was late or didn't show up for your event. I should have called you, and next time I commit that I'll either call or I'll be better with my time, so I make sure that I'm there. And then third, you want to ask for the person's forgiveness. Don't say forgive me as a demand. Because we all at that point, we did our uncomfortable piece, now we want you just to forgive us.
Exactly.
Or you just did the uncomfortable piece and then you leave it dangling out there. If you say something like, will you please forgive me at the end of it, it's an open-ended question. So it offers an opportunity for the other person to engage and respond with everything that you just said. And that's your cue to listen. Just be quiet and listen.
And you know, another key to this is watch your body language. There's a difference between when you're apologizing and your arms across and you've got a face on, like, if, you know, this is, oh my God, this is killing me to, you know, to apologize or whatever. Just, you know, be relaxed, be open, be authentic with it, so that the person really feels that you're connected, that you truly understand and have taken responsibility for whatever happened. Because I've noticed in the past that, you know, body language is huge. You know, if you're sitting there, it's like, I'm sorry. You know, are you really going to forgive me at that point?
You can tell that they don't mean it.
You know?
And also, don't worry about, you're going to sometimes, especially until you get used to owning your stuff, you're going to feel uncomfortable approaching with an I'm sorry. So don't think that I have to walk in like, you know, perfectly balanced and centered. That's great if you are. That would be really awesome. But if you walk in and you approach the person and suddenly you like lose your breath, lose your train of thought, you stare at the floor for a minute, just know in your head that that's as awkward for the other person, especially if they're upset at you. They're like, oh great, you know, why is she coming at me now? And then for you to be like, you know, silence, 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 silence. They're uncomfortable too. And so when you actually start to speak, again, it's going to be this sigh of relief kind of from them. You'll notice their body language shift. You know, if you're in that aware place, and if you're not because you're totally focused on you and just getting it out, that's awesome. The first time, you know, it's practice, practice, practice. It'll get easier and easier. So you want to make sure you say, I'm sorry. And then the three things: you own it, you rectify it, and then you ask for forgiveness as a question, not a demand. So the other part is the 2 steps that you want to do before you ever get to the I'm sorry phase. Like Wolf mentioned, you're going to sit with it, make sure you mean it, because it has to be authentic. People can tell even on a subtle level, like if you don't really truly, like if you're just doing it to move on, like we said at the beginning. Or you're just doing it because you're like, oh, just, you know, whatever, maybe this is what this person needs to hear. I'm sorry, did that work? So after you make sure that you really, really mean it, then you're going to make sure that you are committed to following through. Because we see a lot of people, as in the example that I gave with the person that kept guessing he owed me apology, the same behaviors would happen again and again. And that is going to get rid of that trust, because they're not going to believe you. So your very first apology better be your best, that you are showing up and you're not going to do those things again. You might screw up and you might, you know, because it's going to take practice. But as long as you're communicating with your mate at this point, they'll know that you're trying, and they'll see that you're trying to shift your behavior. And they know it's not easy because they know you.
Right. And then, you know, there's all different types of I'm sorry and apologies. You know, I don't know, as an example, I've had a person in my life that crying while apologizing was one of quote unquote tactic. And that's exactly what it is a tactic. It throws you off. It kind of sets the stage for, you know, that person guiding the situation, where when it's an authentic I'm sorry, you know, I'm not saying that you can't cry. I'm not saying that. But when it's coming off the cuff just like that.
It's an emotional manipulation. A lot of people use I'm sorry.
Yeah, and I noticed that for me personally, you know, somebody approaching me that way just didn't seem authentic.
No, it turns you off.
If during the conversation, you know, tears start to flow, that's a different story. You're coming at me with the tears to begin with, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. Right, you've lost it. You lost it for me at that point. So, it's important for you to really come forward with, a great understanding, respect, and acknowledgement that yes, I've done something wrong and I'm here to take responsibility and authentically apologize for it.
And then don't be attached to the outcome, because we also see that too. People are like, well, I apologized. Like, why aren't you okay now? Because you've done the work beforehand, and then you've approached when you've completed that work to go and do the right thing. And now you're asking this person to have a wound be healed like magically because you just did your part of the work. You need to allow them the time and space. So it's going to be a process, and you need to expect that. They might say, I can't forgive you right now, but I really appreciate that you just said that to me, because they're not used to it maybe from you, or they're not used to people in general owning things. Give me some time. And that's a cool response. And hopefully they mean, because they're leading by your example, they're going to follow through and take that action. And check back, can I check back with you, in a week or a few days, or whatever feels right to you. Make an agreement together of when to revisit it, so that you make sure it gets done and it's not this lingering thing out there. Right.
And if you're used to those quick apologies, that's the kind of relationship you've kind of, you've built, it's going to take some time to shift. So give it the time, the space, the room, the respect it needs for it to shift to an authentic I'm sorry.
Right, because the way you've been working, even though you've been saying I'm sorry, has been separating you more and more and releasing that trust more and more. So we all know it takes time to rebuild trust. We all know it takes time to build a new habit, and for a partner to believe that the new habit is the new norm, instead of just something that you're trying out, for quick moving on sake. So really just dig into your authenticity and come at somebody heartfelt. Speak from your gut, speak from your soul. Be real with them so that they have the opportunity to be real back to you, and you both can just feel happier and more connected, and it will work, and your sorry will be enough.
And for you guys out there, when you're apologizing, we've given you a bit of a blueprint on how that goes. I'm not saying get all zen and all flower and roses and all that stuff. You be you. You be whatever that authentic apology is of you. So don't think that you have to be this other person.
Overly emotional.
Right. Just to fit in and to show your respect to your partner. You be you, and that person would absolutely 150% get it.
Right, because they know who you are. That's who you are, is who they fell in love with. Right. So again, you're not trying this on as like, I'm trying my authentic tactic now, because that's what Tara and Wolf said. You're trying it because it feels right to you and it feels real to you, and that's how you would want to be approached.
I mean, like for me, when I apologize, those of you who have had the pleasure of seeing me apologize, the first thing I said is like, look, I've been and I won't use the word, but I'm truly, truly sorry, and I'm going to make it my mission, my effort, my everything to make sure I rectify that. And I'm really looking forward to you seeing that. And I'm really, really, really sorry.
And I like to give people permission to call me on it.
Yeah.
Like if you see me going down this road again, or you're feeling uncomfortable with it, please say something. I want people in my life who feel comfortable enough to call me on things. And this doesn't give you permission to nag or nitpick or anything like that if your partner says that to you. This is the real deal. Like, they're asking you to support them and to work with them. Right. So make sure you're coming from that frame point, because I know we all like to get twisted on things and being able to justify our bad behaviors. So know what your bad behaviors are, your good behaviors, and approach this from a really good angle.
Yeah, the bottom line is just be you.
Be you, and your apology will be enough.
Absolutely.
Thank you for tuning in once again, and have a great day.
Bye.
Bye.